What? Surprised? Hey, I can have more interest than just Smash Brothers. I've been playing Fire Emblem Heroes pretty much daily since launch, and let me tell you, it's been a roller coaster the whole way. Every summoner out there has stories of surprise pulls they never thought they'd see, new favorite characters they only gave a look because of the game, and that one pity breaker who just refuses to leave you alone. Hey, get out of here! But something I didn't expect to pick up was a deeper understanding of Fire Emblem battle tactics and what goes into how each stat, skill, and team composition comes together. I've gained a lot of ideas in the past year, and I thought, hey, why not share some of them? Let's take a look at a feature that only started happening recently. Older, underpowered, or outclassed units getting new signature weapons that vault them into viability again for those of us who don't have a ton of rare skills to burn. What units going forward could get new weapons of their own, and what might they be like? Today, we're going to focus on Fire Emblem Fates. Divisive as it is, Fates does still have its share of fan favorites, and many of them were present in the game at launch, and it shows. But with the right new weapon, these three characters would be able to make something of themselves again, or at least stand out in the crowd. We begin with Camilla. Oh boy, what have I gotten myself into? The Elder Princess of Nor had some presence for a while after launch, but she fell off significantly with the advent of skill inheritance, allowing Cherche to do the flying brave axe thing way better. Now the only time you ever really see Camilla in arena modes is in some kind of costume. Interestingly enough, her stats actually aren't half bad, well-rounded in a way that can make her scary in Fire Emblem or in mixed teams running tactics skills. Camilla's problem is more that her skill set doesn't gel together, at all. You actually can build her into something worthwhile as is, but it requires heavy investment, and most of those builds are the kind of thing other axe flyers already do better. We've seen not bad but outclassed units get new weapons already, and with how popular she is, for better or worse, I definitely see Camilla as the type to get a new weapon in the near future. So, what could that weapon look like? Camilla's axe is an easy choice for her new weapon, a random drop in Fates that also showed up in Warriors. For its base skill, we'll stick it with Drive Attack 2. It'll allow her to be useful in any team setup at minimum, and gears her toward more of a utility role that stands out among axe flyers. It also alludes to her personal skill in Fates, Rose's Thorn, and fits her highly uncomfortably doting nature to a T. But when refined, Camilla's axe gains an effect inspired by her class's capstone skill, Trample, making her a greater threat against two whole unit types and allowing her to ensure they don't get to lay a finger on her dear teammates. Now, how could we build around this new weapon? The set you see here is designed to emphasize Camilla's role as a utility flyer who strikes down various threats and supports her allies when needed. A speed boon is always helpful to let her avoid doubles and have a good chance of hitting twice herself, while taking a Bane in HP lets her keep her good mixed bulk intact and allows her to fight dragons and take a straight hit from a mage if necessary. Reposition is nigh obligatory for a flyer because it's so damn useful on them, while Iceberg plays off a great resistance. I know the Fury Desperation combo is as overused at this point as defaulting to Smashville for Game 1, but it really is genuinely useful for someone like Camilla who uses all of her stats on a consistent basis and can easily break the 40 speed mark with the right circumstances or buffs. Any drive skill works well in the C slot for further team support, though you can swap in gold flyers or the like if you're running Fire Emblem, and she can run a variety of seals ranging from guidance for mixed teams, close defense for more mixed bulk on enemy phase, or even other drive skills for an overdrive build of sorts. I hear that's what the cool kids are calling it. Overall, this new axe would give Camilla a niche that'd make her worth investing in once again for anyone who isn't a whale, and allow her to be relevant once more. Now will someone please get her a therapist? Speaking of characters with unhealthy devotion toward Corrin, we have Jacob. Up until very recently, this guy plagued the high star ranks of the colorless pool with his awkward stat line and mostly non-valuable skills, and the only truly useful one's easier to get from two other units. Needless to say, Jacob had an argument for being one of the worst pity rate breakers in the game, and while it's a relief he won't be doing that any longer, he does still have his fans wanting to build him. Besides, I'm sure the guys in Intelligent Systems would jump at the opportunity to make another viable dagger user. We could use more. So just like with Camilla, Jacob would pull his new signature weapon from the random drops in Fates, Jacob's Tray. In its base form, it's admittedly just a smoke dagger with higher might, but when that's hands down the most useful non-seasonal dagger right now with its Omni-Smoke debuffs, that ain't exactly a bad thing. But it's the refined effect that makes things interesting. We take the defense boost the Tray grants in Fates and interpret it into something that makes Jacob an anti-range specialist of sorts, allowing him to protect his liege, Corrin or otherwise, by drawing enemy fire, tanking the hit, and crippling his foe and any others nearby in return. This build would be one way to emphasize Jacob's new proficiency as both butler and bodyguard. Much like Camilla, he wants speed to deny opponents follow-ups, and a bane to his hit points lets him keep his alright mixed defenses intact. Drawback lets him move allies around while also ensuring he only enters the fray on his terms, while Moonbow is the go-to for quick bursts of combat to ensure he gets as much damage in as he can. Fury's here too since Jacob also wants to use all of his stats, though distant defense is another rarer option. I opted for Water Sweep as his B skill despite the feather requirement in order to give him extra utility on player phase through being able to hit most mages for free. Wind Sweep also works if you're more worried about distant counter, or alternatively, other stuff like chill skills. Then since he wants to stick close to allies, a double defensive spur works wonders, especially since it's not all that hard to get this particular one now the Male Morgan gives it out of 4-star. Distant defense just makes sense as the seal of choice, though you can also run various buff seals, or deflect magic if you want to ensure Jacob can take on you-know-who. Overall, fighting with Trey in hand would make Jacob useful for combating ranged attackers and providing utility through mass debuffing enemies and spur buffing allies in a pinch. He may only tolerate most people at best, but he'll still do his job of supporting his fellow heroes on the battlefield. Your move, Alfred. Moving on to the other side of whatever the Fates continent is called, we have Oboro. Another fan favorite, this fighting fashionista has been, let's say, underwhelming in Heroes. She's not bad per se, but there are so many strong infantry lancers nowadays that it's hard to justify investing in her. Worse yet, much like Jacob, Oboro offers nothing really of value for skill inheritance, unless you're out of noise and need Threat and Res 2 as a stopgap. And so having her show up when you summon blue leads to little more than a dejected sigh of frustration. But hey, they turned other 3-star units around using new weapons, so let's take a crack at this one. This time we're actually not going to give Oboro her named weapon, because we can give her something a little flashier. The Water Wheel. This double-sided Naginata is the strongest of its kind in Fates, and since only Spearmasters can reach the S rank necessary to wield it, Oboro is actually the only first-gen unit who can use it without reclassing. The key here is to take the bulky infantry lance archetype and do something a little different with it, and we'll start by giving the Water Wheel Guard 3 as its base effect, meaning opponents won't be able to punch through Oboro with a special unless she's already taken a sizable hit. And for its refined effect, fun fact, in Fates the Water Wheel grants a sizable buff to both of the wielder's defensive stats. So, hey, sure it's nothing flashy, but close defense lets Oboro have sizable resistance as well as defense, giving her the niche she needs to stand out next to the likes of Shiro, Lucas, and Nephany. Now let's see what it could be like in action. The choice of nature is admittedly a weird one for a melee tank, but taking advantage of her 4-point super boon in resistance further strengthens Oboro's mixed bulk and better allows her to go toe-to-toe with enemy dragons. Even male Grima would struggle to bring her down if he initiates. Swap works well for someone who wants to be in the enemy path a lot of the time, though Repo also works as usual, and Ignis is obvious. Close defense as an A skill is admittedly really tough to get your hands on, but it's worth it here. Though various other A skills would also work, up to and including a Breath plus Ether combo or something simple like Defense or Resistance plus 3. Then Quick Riposte, Threat and Attack, and a Close Defense seal are pretty self-explanatory. With the Water Wheel's help, Oboro would gain new life as a unique mixed tank who can shrug off damn near anything in melee range on enemy phase. Swords, axes, lances, or dragonstones, watch as they barely leave a scratch on her. Saves you a headache in battle and leaves her outfit looking as fashionable as ever. 3 older units with a possible shot at new life. Just goes to show what a change one new addition can make. Will Camilla, Jacob, and Oboro be the next to gain new signature weapons and rise to prominence once more? Only time will tell. So, what do you think? I want to dip my toes into more Fire Emblem Heroes stuff occasionally. Fun fact, this one's been in the works for a while, and at one point the original draft included Soren and Lilina, so maybe I got a good read on what Intelligent Systems is thinking. If you're interested in seeing more Fire Emblem Hero videos about other stuff like more new weapons, new skills, even new units entirely, then be sure to subscribe and stick around. Who knows, you might find some of my other stuff interesting as well. Special thanks goes to the usual. Got a little bit of help on this one, getting the icons for Trample and Aegis redone into something I could work with. Major thanks as well to my patrons, and if you want to help support the channel, you're welcome too. Well, with some exceptions. But until next time, may the RNG be ever in your favor.